Hello, this is Dr. Stephen Cangiano. I am the president and co-founder of RDT.Media and Events with its online companions, Relationship Development.com and HumanityUpgrade.com. Today is it's a special guest for me as much as the audience because I know this gentleman. I just tallied it up for 21 years. Roger his background is originally science, then medicine. He was in academics. He's taught dentistry. He has an unbelievable academic career. And then Roger transitioned into business. He was always an entrepreneur, I would say. But then he went into the network marketing business, and he became a mega success. As a matter of fact, my jaunt into network marketing, he was definitely one of my mentors and one of the people I really, really looked up to because we were both from the medical field and I could relate to him, but he could also relate to everybody. And Roger shared some confidential information. Roger, we can edit this out if you want, but I'm going to tell it like it is. Roger has made over $14 million in the network marketing industry. Phenomenal, unbelievable success. So what I want to do is I want to talk about network marketing because it's a business that's here to stay. Some people have some people love the business, some people hate the business. Most people are not educated about the business, and there really is nobody better than Roger to help us wade through the good, the great, the bad, everything. And that's what we want to do today. Roger, did I do you justice with that introduction?
Well, you've been so kind, Steve. Thank you very much. Actually, you were one of my mentors. I guess we were mutual mentors because of your scholarliness, and we did a lot of doctors panels together. So I'm honored to be here this morning and share whatever it is that you want me to share, Steve.
Very good. Good. All right. Take people through. So again, super successful as a physician, super successful as a network marketer. Success is definitely not that you haven't had your ups and downs. We all have, but success is the key. Help people, wade people through how and why you transition from medicine, academic medicine, successful practice into network marketing.
Well, it's just a story, Steve. A fellow that I was teaching skiing with showed me a video, and it was very poorly produced video, and it was about magnets. And this guy was a scientist, and the guy was perspiring profusely, and no attempt was made whatsoever to edit the sweat out of the video. But about 5 or 10 minutes into the video, we started to talk about the Hall effect and Faraday's law, and then my science, mind peaked, and I said, what if this actually works? And to make a long story short, it did, because in those days, static field magnetic energy had a profound impact on the body's ability to function optimally. So with that, then we started to read and become a student of network distribution, read 200 books on network marketing as a process in my first year because I was fascinated with it, fascinated with the logistics, fascinated with its ability to communicate ideas, fascinated with the ability that it gives people freedom to do disruptive things in a way that's not disruptive but beneficial. So
Gotcha.
That's kind of it.
So if you could define network marketing, network distribution briefly, give us a context for people who aren't aware of it. And then let's talk about some of the advantages and how people avoid some of the pitfalls, because we know there's tremendous advantages, scalability, be able to take a product and educate people to really have an impact on people's lives with a great product and with a financial opportunity as well. Maybe give us a brief definition of network marketing.
Well, I think we could put it in context, Steve, and talk about what Richard Branson recently spoke about, which is that, the people who are the founding fathers and mothers of the United States of America came here, a lot of them from the European continent, and they were entrepreneurs, albeit they were farmers or they had a little grocery store, they had a little hardware store, shoe shine shop or whatever, but they were independent entrepreneurs. And that's the foundation for our great nation. And then 100 years later, Big Brother stepped up to the plate and said, come over here, little boy, and work for me. I'll take good care of you. So our individuality, our spirit of entrepreneurism that formed the foundation for the United States of America sort of disappeared. And now what's happening is, like a lot of things in history, Steve, it's come full circle. Now opponents, including presidents of countries, ours, and other people, are strong proponents of network distribution because it represents the most recent step in the evolution of the free enterprise system. And all it really is it allows people to, A, have no ceiling on their income. There's no ceiling on their income because based on their abilities and the product that they represent, they're in sales. And there's no limit to what can be done. Whereas if you're working at a primary source of employment, a JOB, there is a ceiling. And there are people who are above you who push down. All business, again, to your point about definition, is shaped pyramidally. Major corporations have a CEO at the top, president, upper management, middle management, salespeople, and consumers. So it's shaped kind of like a pyramid. And people believe that that's the most moral way to do business, when in reality, if you are the person who is seeking my position or vice versa, the only way I could do that in a corporate pyramid, Steve, is to try to make you look bad, is to subterfuge what it is that you're doing, so that when it came time for the board to decide on who's going to be promoted, it would be me over you because I've done something in a nefarious way to make you look bad somehow. Whereas in network distribution, in this pyramid, the only way that I can get to the top, like you've been as well, is to pull you up with me, is to bring you up, is to elevate you. And therefore, for me, finally, a network distribution is the most moral way to do business. And it also brings us back to our company's roots. I know that's a circuitous way to describe what you asked, but that's what's in my heart.
Yeah, no, you put a lot of pieces together there. So yeah, so every organization is a pyramid, and the structure. So behavior is always determined by the structure of the organization. And I think what you're saying is the structure of network marketing inherently forces you to help other people be successful. That's the only way you're going to be successful. So therefore, the structure of that versus corporate America, whereas a competitive structure, some people rise above it, but the structure of it really does lend itself towards that competitive, sometimes nefarious behaviors and subterfuge, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So I totally agree. The structure is better. How do you, in other words, let's go into the other thing I want to talk about before we get into maybe how to avoid some of the pitfalls is talk about scalability. Because I think one of the most amazing things about network marketing is low investment and unbelievable scalability. And you've had some experiences that. Why don't you get into that real quick?
Well, here we have a profession that requires a minimum outlay of capital expenditure. You don't have employees. You don't have a huge overhead. You don't have a bricks and mortar place that you have to build, as we did at you and your practice and my practice, building professional office buildings. And my time is my own. So that's different. Every day for me is Saturday. I can do what I want, when I want, with whomever I want. I can select the people that I work with. If you don't like me, Steve, you can say, well, I don't like Roger, so in this profession, I don't have to work with him. Or I don't like George. George is kind of, our personalities aren't in harmony. So I don't have to work with George. I get to pick who I work with. So the flexibility of this profession, and I call it a profession because it is one of the most outstanding professions for individual entrepreneurs that I know. So I don't know if that addresses what you were after or not.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of things. I think the other thing I was thinking about is that I know you've done this, is you've built international businesses from your home office. Isn't that correct? You've had businesses all over the world, and you didn't have any employees, you didn't have all the expenses of a traditional business, but you also had the technological software back office support to be able to manage this in an effective way. Am I stating that correctly?
Right. Well, the company provides those tools. And so we were blessed to have, and are blessed today, to have business in different countries around the world. Interestingly enough, this business came about almost as a happenstance, because the beauty about network distribution is for Dr. Cangiano, you could be involved in this business, and the leaders who raise up your income may be people you've never met before. The neat thing about it is that normally we used to say there's only 6 degrees of separation, but today with social media and with these things, you know, you're like 3 degrees away from anybody anywhere in the world. So what happened historically for us was that we found people who knew another person in Arizona, who knew a physician in Paris, France, and that physician in Paris, France took up like a rocket. And as a result of that, we had the largest business in all of Europe. It wasn't because of a person that I knew personally. It was because using this model and leveraging people equity, we're able to create an international business. And by the way, the fun part about that is that when you go to these different countries, you have built-in tourists. You don't get caught in the tourist traps. You get to appreciate the international community of humankind. And if I could just speak to that a second, I've learned and been blessed by the idea that people all over the world, Steve, want the same 3 things because of network marketing. I learned they want to be loved, they want to be part of something bigger than they are, like you do, and they want to make a difference like you do. You know, when you strip away the cultural differences, everybody wants what Dr. Cangiano wants when you think about it. And, you know, most people rather die than think. As a matter of fact, they do. But we're thinking here this morning. So I hope that answers what it is that you are after.
Well, yeah, well said. No, well said. And it really is true. When you get down to the basics, you meet so many great people in network marketing. There is absolutely no doubt about it. These people are just wonderful, and it attracts people that really want to help people. Let's get into how you can avoid some of the like one thing that you said, and I just want to go back to, every day is like Saturday. But on the flip side of that, you work your butt off. I've seen you do it. You and I have done. We know what it takes. Let's talk about the work ethic. Let's talk about the work ethic that it takes to really be successful. You know, and maybe not everyone's going to be as successful as you are, but let just talk about what kind of work ethic it's going to take for them to be successful.
Well, it's called network distribution. I'm looking for something that I just got. I wish I hope I can pull up this sheet, because I was just being taught by another networker about what it takes to be successful. And there were, gosh, I hope I can find it here. There were 5 points that were absolutely incredible. And here they are. Here they are. Forgive me for reading this, but this was so poignant and to the point of what you're after. What does it take to be successful in network distribution? Number one, you have to be focused. In other words, you have to focus in on your why. Why did God put you on the planet? You know, what is your mission? It's not just about making money. There's a purpose for Dr. Steve Cangiano to be here. Perhaps it's this incredible network you're putting together. Perhaps it's the empowerment that you will give to people all over the world with this program. So number one, you have to be focused. Number two, you have to be coachable or teachable, right? You know that. I mean, you can't become a podiatric surgeon and not be teachable and coachable. And in network distribution, a lot of success is dependent upon a person's teachability, right?
Yeah.
Are they open to learn new horizons? Number three, are they patient? This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Everybody always says, well, you can get, no. This is like a 5-year program. 3 years if you're really good. 5 years. Think about any business. Think about your practice when you built it up. My practice or whatever. It didn't happen overnight. We had to build it up. We had to be substantial pillars in the community. We had to prove to the people that were referring to us, et cetera, et cetera. Number four, we have to be consistent. Consistent, as you alluded to, Steve, consistent activity. Every day, I make a minimum of 6 contacts personally, either by texting personally or personal interaction out and about. And the last one, capitalize these letters. Capitalize these letters. You have to be relentless. And I think that's where you were going with that. You have to be relentless. Think about this for a second. How much time does it take for you to create a business that will generate $1 million a year in income? How much time?
A lot of time.
Yeah. In network distribution, it's 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years with the proper mentors and the proper work ethic, and you're there.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other profession in the world where you can, or any other business where you can go in and in 36 to 60 months have $1 million salary, $1 million income with a 4% overhead and no employees. It blows my mind that people particularly traditional businesses don't like network distribution because it gives independence back, and it won't make people follow the herd. They won't be part of the herd. They won't be part of the sheep, that follow around. Here, you have a chance to be in control of your own destiny. Sorry for the rant, but you asked.
That was beautiful. No. And those 5 things are really for any business or any endeavor. I mean, it's really, and so also I think a piece of that is that you really do, it's a lot, for some people, it's more difficult to focus when they're home alone by themselves. They're not going to an office, into a structured environment. And I think that, as much as many of the other things, is what kind of holds people back. And it really is a great journey to be able to do all those things and take the initiative, be accountable to yourself, but also have leaders like you who can help them be accountable as well. All right, boy, we're condensing a lot of great information. Go ahead.
Two things. One, you have to make a decision that you'll be doing this. All right. You have to make a decision. And two, you have to have the discipline to, as you indicated, Steve, to focus on these tasks every day. I remember when I retired from my practice at 55 and moved to Hilton Head Island. I got down there. I didn't know anybody. The money was ridiculous. I was sitting there in my office, or I'd go out on the boat, out on the Hatteras, or play golf. I mean, it was pretty boring because I realized once I was taken out of my structured business and all my time was my own, I had to really generate the discipline necessary. And that was not easy. So to your point, those 2 things, make the decision and then be able to focus on what it is that you need to do every day.
Yeah. And, for someone like you to say that, because as I said, I've known you for a long time, you have the discipline to be in excellent physical shape. You've been successful in multiple things. But for you to say, hey, you really need to develop that self-discipline to a higher level in network marketing, that's something people really need to focus and key in on, I think. All right, Roger, excellent points. I think for someone like yourself to say that you have to be disciplined when you are literally one of the most disciplined people I know. You've been physically disciplined, mentally disciplined. You've had multiple successful businesses. So that's a real key takeaway for people who are looking into network marketing, because I think a lot of people do have difficulty when they're home alone, working, disciplining themselves. How do you pick a product and a company? Because where people tend to get discouraged with network marketing is because it's such a great business structure. A lot of, I don't want to say nefarious, or a lot of people are attracted to it who may not have the experience to run a company and, things. And the other thing is a lot of times they grow so quickly that they kind of get out of control for people. How do you pick a company and a product for the long term?
Wow, those are great questions. First of all, company. I never, ever, ever, ever want to get involved with a startup company. The reason I say that is because just like any other profession, any other business, Steve, 4 out of 5 companies fail because they're undercapitalized or they can't fulfill. That's not new. I mean, that happens in the world, generally in business. So you pick a company that's got a little bit of a track record, but not one that's closer to the origin than to the end point. So if my hand was the train and this train was going in this direction, if this train was going 20 miles per hour, if you and I got on that train, how fast could we go, Steve?
Right.
20 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So I like to pick a train that's going 100 miles an hour, that's just left the station. It's going in the direction I want to go, closer to the beginning than to the end point over here. For example, I just bought, and it's in all business, I just bought Microsoft. Was that a good buy? I don't know. We'll find out in a couple of weeks. But is it as good a buy as it was 15 years ago?
No.
Is it by Berkshire Hathaway? Is it a good buy today? I don't know. We'll find out. But is it as good as it was 20 years ago? No. So here's the train going 100 miles per hour in this direction, closer to the beginning, the origin, than to the end point. But this distance between here and the front of the train is where the risk is, to your point.
Gotcha.
What company do you get involved with? Here, if it's a year-old company, the risk is very high, okay? Here, after 4 years, 5 years or so, 3 to 5 years, it's past most of the risk stage. It's going in the direction you want to go, at the speed you want to go, and again, closer to the origin than to the end point. So how do you pick a company? Those are some of the criteria. The other thing is, where does the company's product line that you ask about, where does it fit into the general milieu of products that are needed right now by society? Well, you and I have always been in the health and wellness business and industry. And right now I've picked a company, and that company is all over the news media. That company is trending and going faster than any other business in that space or any space that I'm aware of right now. And so I picked this company, A, because it's in health and wellness, B, because it's going 100 miles per hour in the direction I want to go, C, it has products that are scientifically backed, D, the products work, and E, everybody wants to know about it. All age groups. It's not just for the boomers. It's not just for the millennials. It's for all age groups. So find a product with a company that's playing in a space that everybody needs, everybody wants, and the product quality is the best in the world. So I hope that answers the question.
And I know, because we're going to do another talk here, is that I think your product, from your perspective, has tremendous impact. it creates an emotional bond to the product because you're really getting some great results. And that's ideally what you want. Now, network marketing can also be built on consumable products that but it's a much slower, longer, more difficult build, I would say. Correct me if I'm wrong. If like, you know, household items and those kinds of things, great businesses, great products, great people. I think it's a little bit more difficult long term. What's your input on that?
I'm not sure I understand that question, Steve. What's more difficult long term?
When you're having a high impact product that's consumable,
right,
okay, versus low impact products that are consumable, like household items. There's a lot of companies out there that do those types of products. That's a longer, more difficult build. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're
well, I agree with that. But I was reminded by a mentor many years ago about this subject. All products are consumable. In other words, if all products weren't consumable, Sub-Zero would not be making refrigerators. It just takes longer to consume them until they wear out, right?
Sure.
Cars are consumable, but they don't buy them every week, every month, you know? Otherwise, there'd be no Ford Motor Company, no Chrysler, you know, no BMW, no Mercedes. So consumability is important. And generally speaking, the higher the price tag on the consumable, the longer it lasts. You know, whether it be, let's say, a water filter, or whether it be versus taking nutritionals every month, right? So they're both at both ends of the spectrum. And I like those that require more rapid consumability, because with them comes generally a more rapid change in response to the product, and therefore the energy that you get is higher doing that than you would something that is not as impactful, if that makes sense.
Beautiful. No, you know what? That's a great point, because we always talk about consumables, and you don't think of your car or your refrigerator as a consumable, or even your house. You know, they're all consumables. Really, that's an excellent point. I'm going to put that in the memory banks, and I'm not going to give you credit for it.
That's okay.
So let's bring, this has been phenomenal. Really gives people a high level overview of network marketing, helps them make the right kind of decisions. One thing I want to talk about, and it's always seems like a lot of people's difficult for a lot of people, and I want you to address this. People don't have necessarily the belief in themselves to be able to go out and have the discipline, the credibility to start a business like this. And my answer to them is this: believe in me and believe in my ability to help you be successful. And I've seen you pull a lot of people up and be successful. Speak to what I just said. What is your opinion? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, always when you're approaching somebody about a network distribution type of opportunity, and I'm sorry about using the word opportunity, it's a rather banal word. The two questions that are in the back of their mind is that they have to go from a place that's familiar to a place that's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for them. You'll hear often, well, I don't like sales. But yet, when you think about it, sales is the most volatile. That is, there's no cap on the ceiling of what you can do when you're in sales. The more products you can sell, the more money you can make, as opposed to a traditional job. But always in the back of their mind, if you and I were sitting at a coffee shop somewhere and you were sharing something with me, these two questions always are in the back of the mind, non-verbalized always too. They'll say, number one, can I do this? Can I do this? And number two, will I have help? In other words, will Dr. Cangiano help me to crash through my terror barrier, change my paradigms that are in my subconscious mind, controlling my world every day? And that's a whole different topic, isn't it? But will I have assistance in doing that? And I think at the foundation of people who crash through that terror barrier and become successful is they've transcended that. with the assistance of a mentor, the assistance of somebody when the student is ready, the teacher appears. You know, you may be bringing to me a business situation, and I'm not too keen on it, maybe, or I don't feel comfortable with it. But your job as a professional would be, Dr. Cangiano has done this before. He's successful. He's going to show me how, so that I can become my own hero. Every human being in the world today needs to become their own hero. We, with this profession, can help that man, woman, or couple become their hero, their own hero, a hero in their own movie, as opposed to being an extra in their own movie.
Yeah, beautiful. You know, and we'll bring this in for a landing. I just want to make a couple of comments and have you give your thoughts. Network marketing has, in this world where people are becoming isolated, there's going to be tremendous disruption in the job markets with automation, digitization, autonomous vehicles, etc., on and on and on. I mean, they're making predictions of people in call centers. 99% of those jobs will be gone, will be automated within the next 5 to 10 years. Staggering. And I think what network marketing does is gives people a low entry barrier and scalability to a height that's not. But I think what you can do and what this video can do is help them avoid the pitfalls, like with some of the advice that you're giving. How do you see, in that context, how do you see the future of network distribution?
Well, boy, I wish I had a crystal ball, but I can share some thoughts. Number one, I agree 110% that AI, 50% of the jobs that now exist will be gone shortly, and training needs to facilitate that. I also agree that progress in the future with technology will mostly be centered around disruptive technology. For example, Wheels Up, which is the Uber of private aviation. You know, for $17,000, Cangiano and Boger, we can have our own King Air 350, our own Cessna Citation, and within 12 hours it comes to the airport, picks you up, flies you where you want to go, and you may be in a plane with 6 people you don't know. If that's a problem, I know when I fly to Paris, I'm in Delta with 300 people I don't know, so I don't have a problem with that. That ability to be flexible and disruptive and not have to go through airport heck, okay, that you and I have been through. That's an example of disrupt, like Uber is an example of disruptive. And the taxi cab people are upset about that in various metropolitan areas around the world. I don't know about New York, but I think maybe they're probably a little bit upset about that. So here, network distribution appears to be disruptive, but in reality, it's not. It's a return to the grassroots and foundation of what makes people great, because it gives them the independence that they're looking for. So I feel like that's a bit of a rant. So wheel me back in and make sure that.
That was good. So I think, for me personally, I think what I was getting at was that network distribution will be an answer for a lot of people who are victims of these disruptive technologies. And I don't like the word victim necessarily, but people who are suffering from these disruptive technologies. One of the solutions for them, to other than being an Uber driver, is to actually be in network distribution. I think it's an answer for a lot of people, making sure that they follow the discipline and the guidance and the coachability and picking the right company. Because when the sun, the moon, the stars come together, there's no better business to be in. But you have to be very smart about how you choose, who you work with, what you're doing. Anyway, so this has been phenomenal. Any final comments, Dr. Boger?
Well, I wish that everyone will listen to these messages with your heart and your brain, both parts of your brain, all 3 parts of your brain, your conscious, your subconscious, and your superconscious. Those 3 parts of your brain know what's right. And so this information, if we get together personally with Dr. Cangiano in the future, we can help you to crash through that terror barrier. We can help you to see the viability of being in control of your own destiny using network distribution. There's no greater way to move forward. And the future, I believe, a little prediction, Dr. Cangiano, the future is this. If you and I develop a team in this profession of network distribution and something happens to the company, we've got to take that team, the people will scatter. The future, I believe, is to develop one team one time and that the companies come to our team. And then the people who are part of our organization elect whether or not they want to participate with that company or not. Now, that's going to require that the company representatives are not greedy. They're not trying to control everybody. They have to recognize the fact that if we create a bigger pie, we can all have more. I think the future of this profession of network distribution will be that, say, if I'm in Dr. Cangiano's group, we're going to have personal development, we're going to have leadership skills, and we're going to have a first-class team. And then the companies will come to us. We will elect whether or not we want to participate, each individual. If they don't want to participate, that's great. But that doesn't require that the people get scattered again. They're on a winning team, if that makes sense. And that is the future. We've attempted to do that 2 years ago, and some of the companies were still having problems with that because there was a control issue about whether or not people are going to order their auto ship every month from this company and that company, et cetera, et cetera. But imagine saying to Richard Branson, who has 172 companies, Richard, you can only do Virgin Atlantic. And he'd say, I don't think so, Roger, because the wealthiest people I know have multiple sources of income. And that's what network distribution does on a microcosm level within one company. And in this organizational structure that I'm sharing with everybody, that will be part of the future. Just like AI will take some things away, this will then swing the pendulum over to total control of the individuals that are involved in this profession.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we're going to leave that. Well done. I mean, we covered a lot of great information, a lot of ways to help people make the right decision for them. And I really, really appreciate your time. You know, we're friends for a long time, so it's fun to get together with you, and hopefully that came through. This is Dr. Stephen Cangiano, President and co-founder of RelationshipDevelopment.com, signing off with Dr. Roger Boger. Roger, thank you so much.
Namaste. Thank you, Dr. C.
Thank you.